What's up YouTube, this is Taro and welcome to my class analysis for the Highwayman in Darkest Dungeon. The second character you start with is an odd complement to the Crusader. It's a more direct damage deal with far less build flexibility. In this video we'll discuss the role Highwaymen play in your party, their skills in both combat and camp, and their synergies in both the front and back ranks as well as their weaknesses. Without further banter, let's get to it. Just as the Crusader is your generalist tank, the Highwayman is your generalist damage dealer. He boasts a suite of attacks in different flavors. Straight single target damage, a bleed, a self buff, and an area effect skill allow him to complement anyone who joins him in ranks 2 and 3. He is a direct damage dealer above all else though, and can put out consistent numbers by staying in his preferred ranks with mobility based attacks. Stick to a plan for the Highwayman to get the most out of this hero. In camp he has very strong, inexpensive buffs. In a pinch he can attempt to manage party stress, though he may raise it. Like the Crusader, his powerful self-buff makes him a prime candidate for medium-length dungeons in the early and mid-game. Surprising enemies more frequently is always nice, as is avoiding ambushes and zero torch runs. The Highwayman is a low utility DPS with a contrasting camp presence, where his buffs can significantly cut down the amount of nasty surprises lying in wait. Let's take a look at his abilities now. With the exception of Tracking Shot, all of your abilities are meant to front-load damage. Wicked Slice is a melee attack that can be used from rank 3 with an accuracy of 85 and a crit mod of 5. There isn't much to be said about this one other than that it's a decent attack with good range. Keep it handy against things resistant to bleeding, otherwise take Open Vein. Pistol Shot is a standard fair ranged attack, unusable from rank 1 and unable to target the enemy's first rank. At accuracy 80, minus 25% damage and crit mod 10, this is a skill that is made significantly better by the Highwayman self-buff suite. Load him up and watch him hose down enemy squishies. Point blank shot ranges from mediocre to downright mandatory depending on how you build your Highwayman. If you don't have a tank able to leap in front of him and he doesn't have any melee attacks of his own, he should have point blank shot to push him to relative safety. Note that there isn't much difference between being in rank 1 and rank 2 in many fights, but it can also mean preventing your leper from being blown into the back ranks by a cultist. Grapeshot Blast is not a very good AoE. Usable from the middle ranks, it has slightly lower accuracy of 75 and a minus 60% damage mod with minus 7 crit on top of that. This is meant to finish off things that are already low and do damage to things that are still high. Use in conjunction with his self buff. The most prominent of those self buffs that I've been mentioning is Tracking Shot. With the standard accuracy of 80 and a hefty minus 80% damage mod, it can be used from any rank and is only unable to target the first rank. A 12% damage, 6 accuracy, and 5% crit buff. If you're going to bring this along, I recommend opening with it in every fight. It redeems the weaknesses of the Highwayman's ranged arsenal, though itself is a poor skill to use late in the fight. Use it early and enjoy your mad crits. This skill is also a slightly higher priority upgrade than your others in a ranged build. Duelist Advance is our forward attack. With a standard 80 accuracy, a decent minus 20% damage mod, and 2% crit, the strongest thing about this skill is that it's a melee attack that strikes any rank while moving you forward. It cannot, however, be used from the first rank. If you bring this, point blank shot can save you from getting stuck in a tough spot. Of course, I don't suggest flying in a battle with Duelist Advance. Use it to stay in your sweet spot and unload with your more reliable attacks. Open Vein is the alternative choice to Wicked Slice. With a low minus 15% damage mod, the same good 85 accuracy, and a bleed that does 2 damage per round for 3 rounds at base, you can understand why this might seem more predictable in dungeons where enemies are vulnerable to bleeding. Now that we've covered all the combat skills, let's talk about the camp skills. Surprisingly strong buffs make the Highwayman very valuable in camp. Scouting and surprising are often underappreciated unless you hedge against it with their unique suite of abilities. Gallows Humor is useful in a pinch. I say in a pinch because while it's a solid stress heal 25 for the character and 20 for the party, it has a 25% chance to backfire and increase the party member's stress by 10. At a time cost of 5, there better be a good reason you aren't using someone else's stress management. Uncatchable has a time cost of 2 and increases your scouting chance by 30%. This is an excellent buff and can help you get the most efficient route out of your dungeon. I would say use it anytime you have the time to spare unless you need to heal. Clean Guns has a modest time cost of 3 and boosts the Highwayman's strength considerably. 10 accuracy, 20% more damage, and 5 more crit mod ensures that you can pick that swine drummer off before he drives your party insane. Camping early means you get the most out of this one too. Bandit Sense also enjoys the low time cost of 2 and decreases your chance of being surprised while making it more likely to surprise monsters. Take this to give you more control over your party, especially if you're taking movement sensitive heroes and you're running in the dark. His skills in combat are moderate and reliable, whilst his camp skills are outstanding and lend considerable control to your runs. And how do we take his moderate combat skills to the next level? Stick him with the right allies in the right places. Let's discuss his synergies. Raw damage and crit mod are the best buffs you can find for the Highwayman. His straightforward damage dealer playstyle means he works well with aggressive support. I'll discuss my 3 favorites for the front rank and 2 for the back. My top choice to take with him as a tank may not be that popular, but it's the Abomination. A knockback 2 ability makes rank 2 safer for him by pushing away hard melee scrappers. The Abomination's ability to set up for a burst attack allows him to coordinate with the Highwayman to quickly rip something down, even pulling juicy targets out of the 3rd rank from human form. Bear in mind, of course, that the Abomination is not a team player and your back row may need to compensate for 2 selfish beatsticks. My second choice would be the Man-at-Arms. What a surprise, with that excellent accuracy buff and his shield punting hijinks. Between these two, there's nothing the Highwayman's attacks won't hit. Unlike the Abomination, however, he supports the Highwayman in rank 3. Be mindful of where he swings his shield though. He can knock something into rank 1 and out of range of your pistol. The Crusader is solid with the Highwayman if this opening sequence of the game didn't give you that hint enough already. He shares the Man-at-Arms ability to push forward and shuffle the Highwayman back to his sweet spot, as well as providing a decent stun, albeit not in the same action. A good choice, but eventually he falls off in comparison to the formers I mentioned. The Plague Doctor plays nice with the Highwayman by capitalizing on his damage dealing playstyle. This is compounded on with an aggressive tank and play as well, where healing becomes significantly less efficient than pummeling things into the ground very quickly. Her damage speed buff as well as her shuffle allow the Highwayman to reach whatever he wants with whatever weapons he wants. The Occultist can pick targets out for the Highwayman, making him a great rank 4 ally. He keeps the flank safe with his positional control and uses his hexes to mark things to be gunned down or shanked. When you take a Highwayman, the amount of damage you can put out is defined by how well your party can work around him. He is a selfish damage dealer, and that selfishness is something that contributes to a myriad of weaknesses. We're going to talk about those now. The Highwayman's most obvious vulnerability is that he's a flat DPS. That's it. He doesn't have any tricks, he just has ways to weave back into his boring pew-pew roll. Being tough enough to take a few hits, but squishy enough to get leveled by unlucky crits, puts him in a weird place where you may want him to dance around to mitigate incoming damage. Especially in the Cove, where any party can surprise you with spike damage. He definitely benefits from a healer if he's not part of a damage-focused group. While his damage is consistent, it's not as impressive as the other DPS choices in the endgame. He falls short over time and can be easily replaced by the Arbalest, Houndmaster, or Abomination. His ability to ramp up his crit mod helps him stay relevant if you are set on using him against tougher content. He has no group buffs. That's one rank taken up by someone who can't fall back into a secondary role if shit hits the fan. The Bounty Hunter also outshines him in his base role by being a mediocre damage dealer with plenty of neat tricks and at least one hard-hitting attack under the right circumstances. If a character brings nothing to the party other than moderate damage, why not take moderate damage with actual utility? On the whole, the Highwayman is a turret. Invest in him and he'll do the job reliably most of the time. With the right buffs, he can maintain relevance for as long as it's feasible to continue to sustain him. Just don't expect him to fill in for crowd control or even the first rank for very long. Thank you all for watching my video. Please tell me your thoughts on the Highwayman and my analysis in the comments below. Subscribe if you'd like to see more and help me develop this channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day, YouTube.